body bags, where horror lies.
What's up, y'all? Dubbles at you again. Another week on the body bags. This week I got a flick, more recent times, I guess 2002, and a director I'd never seen any of his films before, but I'd always kind of heard of some buzz. The director is Dante Tomaselli, and the flick is called Horror. I believe this is his second film. He only has like 5 films right now released. I know he's got quite a few announced in like pre-production. Said I've always heard buzz about Dante Tomaselli, but never really checked out his flick, so popping my cherry there, if you will. So anyways, you got the film opens up, basic plot of this one, best I can reveal anyway. 5 teenagers are at a drug rehab center, and you know, they're kind of your typical misfit teens. They're plagued to, obvious problems, and they end up leaving like a bloody rampage behind them, and all stealing this mental ward van and escaping. Now their overall plan is to head to this crazy reverend they've heard of. What's his name? Reverend Salo, of course, Senior. So yeah, they're on this guy's promise, and they're hoping to cash in and find some salvation, maybe, and among other things, I guess. But basically, the 5 misfit teens are taking all kinds of drugs and driving down the road, acting crazy. So a wild bunch. And then they get to the isolated house of Reverend Salo, and that's where this kind of the second subplot begins. I won't go too deep in that, but he's obviously not your typical Reverend. As you can see on the front, there's a goat, so you get a lot of demonic kind of symbolism in this flick. There's kind of just this dark black goat that kind of overlooks him throughout the film, and I mean, that's creepy in its own right. Definitely different. I found this cover kind of hilarious, though. The goat in a tuxedo kind of suit. I mean, I guess it's like a priest outfit, but I don't know. It's kind of funny to me. Anyways, but yeah, after they get to the isolated house, shit starts hitting the fan. The practical effects in this one pretty fun. I found there's not a whole lot of huge ton of gore or anything like that. So I think that could have been amped up in some parts, but mostly the flick is a very visual driven flick. It's all about the cinematography. The cinematography is, I have to say, pretty damn solid in this flick. To be this guy's second flick too, he's really got an eye for horror, I believe, an eye for vision anyway. Can at least say that much about him, and he's definitely heavily influenced by Fulci and Argento, his use of colors, and maybe even Bava. Of course, he's an Italian-American filmmaker, so. But yeah, he's influenced by the good shit, obviously. Without putting his, he puts his own unique touch on it too. I mean, it's not just straight up Argento, but I'm just saying, like, the use of the colors, there's a lot of dynamics. The isolated house is in a kind of a snowbound countryside as well, which really cool use of colors. They have one character, I won't reveal too much of it, turns blue, and he ends up vomiting this yellow substance, and it's on this white snowy backdrop, and I mean, it just really pops off the screen. Kind of reminds me of some of the street trash, just the neon colors, the dynamics that really just kind of pop off the screen. I never thought I would compare this movie to street trash in any way, but just the way it visually appeals to you, the kind of just, that loud color. Like I said, visually it's a great flick. I'd say the plot and the delivery of it is kind of confusing. The storyline's a little all over the place, but it's really following this one girl's misfit, from the group of misfit teens, her nightmarish visions, and so it's kind of going back and forth. You don't know what's reality and what's not a lot of times. I don't know. It's one that you probably need to watch a time or two. And the pacing of it, I like it though. It's like it's slow and steady. It's not just overwhelming and at times. Even though it can be like a little oddball or wild or even dramatic at times, it's not too over the top. It's just kind of a subtlety, but vibrant in the same way. It's kind of hard to explain, but said I would have probably put up maybe a little more gore, a little more upfront storyline maybe, because this flick does come off confusing at times, but. Overall, I really liked the flick. Maybe the musical score, it was kind of cool for what it was, but that could have been amped up as well. But really visually driven flick yet again. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. I think it's a pretty cool flick. Nothing that'll blow you away, but really a solid movie that I would suggest worth a watch, especially if you're a big fan of cinematography and interesting filmmaking. Cool demonic shit there. Horror. So until next week, y'all, peace out. Appreciate y'all watching as always.